Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my video on your essay structure. The reason why I have created this video for you guys today is because I feel that essay structure is really important. For most of you who know that the writing part of the IELTS exam has an essay writing, and whenever you go ahead and write an essay, be it for a general or for an academic examination, it's important for you guys to know the structure because I personally feel that most of you, whenever you start writing, you're not able to understand what needs to be put after this sentence. So how should you start a paragraph? How should you end a paragraph? And this essay structure will actually help simplify that for you. Okay. Another reason why essay structure is important is because essay structure helps you cover the first part of your scoring criteria for your IELTS writing, which is task achievement. If you go ahead and follow the essay structure down to the T, you'll be able to complete your task, which has actually been asked of you. Now for this video, I'm actually going to use a discuss both view and give your opinion question type that you see out here. This is your writing task 2. It's important to understand that every task that you get for writing task 2 is divided into two parts. All right. The first one is your topic and the second one is your question. All right. As you see out here, your topic is what your essay needs to be based out of. So have any of you guys cooked, you guys would know that every recipe requires a sauce, like a base, and then you go ahead and add other ingredients to it. Similarly, when you write an essay, your topic is actually your base of the essay that you write, and then question is what you go ahead and start filling it out. So in this kind of an essay, you see that it's actually about two contrasting views. One view is where people need to spend, where money needs to be spent on creating new railway lines for fast trains, and the other one is where people think that money needs to be spent in improvement of existing public transport. Okay, so you would have to go ahead and write your essay based on these two opinions that are mentioned on the topic. When you look at the question, it says discuss both views and give your opinion. This is your essay type. So this is a discuss both view and give your opinion, which is mentioned on the question. All right. Now, in this essay, you need to go ahead and talk about one viewpoint in body paragraph 1 and the other viewpoint in body paragraph 2, and then give your conclusion. That's how the examiners want you to write, and that's the reason why this is called the question. Okay. Now, let's talk about how to apply the structure into an essay. The first paragraph for any essay will be an introduction. It's important that you know that introduction needs to be broken down. You need to first go ahead and paraphrase the topic, as you can see on the screen. Give a general statement if required, which is why I marked it as tentative, and then go ahead and add the essay outline where you address the question of the essay. You guys would understand that the reason why we asked you to paraphrase the topic is because we asked you to go ahead and write the topic in your own words, which means that you're just going ahead and rephrasing everything that's mentioned on the topic by putting words of your own. It shows to the examiner that you know the English language really well and you have an extensive range of vocabulary. And in this way, you're able to go ahead and set the tone of the essay because this is the first thing that the examiner is going to read. If you look at the screen, I have gone ahead and written this down for you. You would notice that I've used different words. I've not repeated anything. I've tried to use different words as much as possible so that you understand how I would like you to paraphrase. I haven't added a general statement here. Why? Because this paraphrase was pretty long. And then I have added a outline where I mentioned this essay will elucidate these viewpoints in extensive details in subsequent paragraphs. You can pause here and quickly read through and understand the way I've written the paraphrase and the essay outline, because this is how you need to start thinking and start writing in this way. All right. So pause and quickly read through this and you'll understand how to go ahead and write your introduction. Notice the use of different words here, and you'll then go ahead and see how you can make your introduction sound even more better. Moving on to body paragraph 1. Now, a body paragraph 1 is where, especially for this kind of an essay, is where you take one viewpoint, you talk about that viewpoint in body paragraph 1. I'm using the first viewpoint where I think, spending money on constructing new railway lines for fast trains is important. Now, if you see out here, I've mentioned that you need to go ahead and introduce the idea. The first line needs to be the introduction of the idea. The reason why I ask you to put this in one sentence and not a very long one is because let the examiner also understand that this is what your idea is. When you are speaking, when you're presenting any kind of idea to anyone, you first go ahead and say what your idea is, you then explain it. Most of you guys make this mistake of putting your idea and then adding the explanation together with it and making it into a long sentence. Try to avoid doing that. Put it in one simple sentence, short and sweet to the point. Okay. And then you go ahead and explain that in 2 or 3 sentences afterwards, as you see on the screen here. You see how I've gone ahead and put this in one simple sentence and then I've added the explanation below. It just helps you also to, like, cover more content in the essay, and at the same time it makes your idea have more gravitas because you're going ahead and explaining that below. The most common mistakes that you guys do is writing longer sentences. Understand that sometimes longer sentences are great, and especially if you have the necessary skill to write long sentences, it's fantastic. But most of you guys who prepare for the IELTS examination, who take the help of videos and ask tutors to teach you, are not very good with the language, and they cannot really write complex sentences, longer sentences, and making them grammatically correct. So it's important that you start with shorter sentences, learn to break it down, and just go ahead and put that here. So in body paragraph 1, you introduce the idea in one sentence. You then go ahead and explain it in 2 or 3 sentences as you like. You can then go ahead and add an example. Always add an example after your explanation. Don't give it before that, because an example is an extension of your explanation, which is why it should be afterwards. It will help you get more marks in coherence and cohesion, which is the second scoring parameter of your IELTS writing. I'm going to also make another video on that. So that's going to come up in a few days. But for now, remember, it's always you introduce the idea, you explain the idea, you then go ahead and give example. All right. For examples, you can use surveys. You can use something that's happening in your country. Try to pull something from your surroundings, because it makes the example easier for you to frame and it sounds more natural. Okay. Now, there's one thing that I would like to add to every body paragraph is closing the idea. I always tell my students to close the idea, because it's important for your paragraph to have an ending. If you just go ahead and end after the example, I personally feel that it sounds a little abrupt. So it's important that you go ahead and add an idea closure, one simple one-liner talking about just reiterating your point and sealing that paragraph, something like this. You can quickly pause here and read through this as well, and you'll understand. This is the end of body paragraph 1. Now, for this type of an essay in body paragraph 2, you have to talk about the second. Now, I'm going to talk about why money should be spent on improving existing public transport. In the same way, I go ahead and introduce the idea in one sentence. I then go ahead and explain the idea in 2 or 3 sentences again. You see how I've written it. I've made this video in this way so that you guys understand how to write it down. You can quickly read through this and understand how you present the idea and how you go ahead and explain it. I've then added an example here for you. This way, I've used the example of India because I feel that India could have been India actually has a lot of potential where I feel that Indian public transport can be improved. So I've used that. So it just becomes easier for me to form, because I already know that this is happening in my country. Okay. And I then go ahead and quickly close the idea. This is how I do it. So this is how you write your body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. The structure remains the same. Now you see, I have gone ahead and covered the task. The task talks about discuss both these views. I've covered both these views in 2 subsequent paragraphs. Now I will go ahead and add my opinion in the conclusion. Now, how do you write the conclusion? Remember, guys, this is the last paragraph of your essay. So it's important that you go ahead and make it count. Now, how I would like you to write it is there's no need to add anything new. There's no need to add anything more. You simply go ahead and summarize both the ideas in a complex sentence. Okay. So see how I've written it over here. I have mentioned both the points that I spoke about in a nice big complex sentence. This is one more tip why I ask you to put your ideas in one line on each body paragraph's beginning, is because it becomes easy for you to summarize by looking at both those lines and forming a summary like this. So if you see, I've mentioned why investing money in fast trains is important and why investing money in existing public transport is important. I've just gone ahead and summarized what I spoke about out there. And then I have added an opinion. Now, your opinion is entirely upon you. You can choose either side. I just wanted to go ahead and give like a mixed opinion here, which is why I've chosen something like this. But in case of an opinion-based essay, when it asks you something like give your opinion, you can choose to write anything. All right. If let's say this essay just had the question discuss both these views and does not have the part give your opinion, just writing the summary is enough on the essay, but I would always recommend, like how I asked you to close each paragraph with a closing sentence, you should go ahead and give a general statement out here, just quickly talking about what you think about this topic. All right. So let's say if it was not an opinion essay, I would have mentioned something like, as per me, or as per my understanding, both these areas of important are equally important. Both these areas of improvements are equally important, and if used judiciously, will yield great outcomes. Right. So I would have not used the word opinion. I would have used the word view, in my understanding, something like that. But it's important to go ahead and close the essay by doing something like this, because it makes your essay look complete. The deal with me is that I always tell you guys that it's important that you keep your language as clear as possible. There's no need to write something that you don't, which is unclear, which is not coherent to the topic. Keep your language clear. If in the beginning you're not able to form complex sentences, start with simpler sentences. Begin by doing this. The more you practice, the more you're going to get better, and you'll be able to form complex sentences later on. Okay. But it's important, guys, that you go ahead and focus on the structure, because structure is what's going to get you that initial bit. It's just going to make that easy for you, and the rest will come with practice. But structure is really important. All right. So do go ahead and go through this video once again if you want to if you want to understand how I've used the structure, and read through this essay the way I've written it. Yes, and that brings me to the end of this video. And once again, like every YouTuber, I'm going to say, do go ahead and follow my page for any regular updates. Please make sure that you subscribe, like, and share, and click on the bell icon to get updates whenever I post any new content. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a pleasant day.